drop everything and attempt to numbering out whatever they're feeling. Their goal is to get back to feeling good again as quickly as possible, even if that means substance or deluding themselves or returning to their shitty values. Learn to sustain the pain you've chosen. When you choose a new value, you are choosing to introduce a new form of pain into your life. Relish it, savor it, welcome it with open arms, then act despite it. I won't lie, this is going to feel impossibly hard at first, but you can start simple. You're going to feel as though you don't know what to do, but we've discussed this. You don't know anything. Even when you think you do, you really don't know what the fuck you're doing. So, really, what is there to lose? Life is about not knowing and then doing something anyway. All of life is like this. It never changes. Even when you're happy, even when you're farting fairy dust, even when you win the lottery and buy a small fleet of jet skis, you still won't know what the hell you're doing. Don't ever forget that. And don't ever be afraid of that. The next chapter is called the Do Something Principle. In 2008, after holding down a day job for all of 6 weeks, I gave up on the whole job thing to pursue an online business. At the time, I had absolutely no clue what I was doing, but I figured if I was going to be broke and miserable, I might as well be while I might as well be while working on my own terms. And at that time, all I seemed to really care about was chasing girls. So fuck it, I decided to start a blog about my crazy dating life. That first morning that I woke up self employed, terror quickly consumed me. I found myself sitting with my laptop and realized for the first time that I was entirely responsible for all of my own decisions, as well as the consequences of those decisions. I was responsible for teaching myself web design, internet marketing, search engine optimization, and other esoteric topics. It was all on my shoulders now, and so I did what any 24-year-old who'd just quit his job and had no idea what he was doing would do. I downloaded some computer games and avoided work like it was the Ebola virus. As the weeks went on and my bank account turned from black to red, it was clear that I needed to come up with some sort of strategy to get myself to put in the 12 or 14-hour days that were necessary to get a new business off the ground. And that plan came from an unexpected place. When I was in high school, my math teacher, Mr. Packwood, used to say, quote, if you're stuck on a problem, don't sit there and think about it. Just start working on it. Even if you don't know what you're doing, the simple act of working on it will eventually cause the right ideas to show up in your mind. Unquote. Welcome, everyone. We are reading The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson, bestseller from New York Times. Yeah, thank you to that person for the like, and I encourage others send me your likes. You are cute, Courtney says. Thank you, Courtney. Appreciate your comment and your time. Thanks for being here. Yes, likes, comments, shares. You can also buy paid subscription on my website. Uh, with that, you will unlock a course which is called Practical Introduction to Practical Philosophy, my own course. Hi, Tiffany. Hi there. I love your hair. Thank you, Courtney. And I love your positivity. During the early self employment period, when I struggled every day, completely clueless about what to do and terrified of the results, or lack thereof, Mr. Packwood's advice started beckoning me from the recess of my mind. I heard it like a mantra. Don't just sit there. Do something. The answers will follow. Do you like books? Yes, Anastasia, I like books. Okay, Anderson chokes me or whatever. If it's boring, just leave the channel. Bye bye. Oh, thank you to those two other people. I appreciate each like. 3 likes already. 12 people watching, so others join in. In the course of applying Mr. Packwood's advice, I learned a powerful lesson about motivation. It took about 8 years for this lesson to sink in. But what I discovered over those long, grueling months of bombed product launches, laughable advice columns, uncomfortable nights on friends' couches, overdrawn bank accounts, and hundreds of thousands of words written, most of them unread, was perhaps the most important thing I've ever learned in my life. Action isn't just the effect of motivation, it's also the cause of it. Okay, let's read it and try to understand it. Again, action isn't just the effect of motivation, it's also the cause of it. Okay, so motivation causes action otherwise. I think I get it right. You need motivation to do some action. I think that's what he means. Okay, I love your videos. Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you so much. High five to you. I appreciate it. Most of us commit to action only if we feel a certain level of motivation. And we feel motivation only when we feel enough emotional inspiration. Yeah. We assume that these steps occur in a sort of chain reaction like this: emotional inspiration, then motivation, then desirable action. Okay. Emotional inspiration, motivation, desirable action. Okay. If you want to accomplish something but don't feel motivated or inspired, then you assume you're just screwed. There's nothing you can do about it. It's not until a major emotional life event occurs that you can generate enough motivation to actually get off the couch and do something. The thing about motivation is that it's not only a three-part chain, but an endless loop. Inspiration leads to motivation, that leads to action. Again, inspiration, motivation, action, etc. Your actions create further emotional reactions and inspirations and move on to motivate your future actions. Taking advantage of this knowledge, we can actually reorient our mindset in the following way: action, inspiration, motivation. Oh, that's an interesting paradigm shift. Again, action, then inspiration, then motivation. That's a very interesting point of view. I think I will try to turn my camera the other way to show you his formula. There it is: action, inspiration, motivation. I think he's got something in here. Might be very useful. That's it. So, let's come back. And if you understand the value of this, if you appreciate the fact that you learn, you grow mentally, yeah, um, show me some gratitude with likes, comments, shares, and paid subscription purchases. This is YouTube, so it is safe. You don't have to worry about your credit card or something because you're on YouTube, right? If you lack the motivation to make an important change in your life, do something, anything, really, and then harness the reaction to that action as a way to begin motivating yourself. Okay, I'll share my plan now. 100 I planned to pay $150 to Yelp, but they charged 175. Huh. They took away extra 25 from my account, from my debit card, and it didn't work. Zero, like zero results with Yelp advertising. And I also paid $200 to Facebook. Well, Facebook kind of worked. I got around 60 new followers, but so far, no new students. As a private tutor, I'm looking for new students. Yeah, people who want to improve their English or who want to learn French, beginner Hebrew, philosophy, chess. I teach those subjects. But now, I have the choice. Yes, I can be, oh, I tried and it didn't work. So poor me. Okay, I'm quitting, I'm leaving. Yeah, that's a choice. But another choice is to do some extra things. Maybe try advertising on Nextdoor, and I don't know, maybe TikTok. Who knows? It might work. Yeah, Donald Trump said TikTok helped him, so I might give it a try. And also, what I'm doing now is I'm making a little brochure for myself, not just digitally, but I'm planning to publish it and distribute, in local shops and stuff to try and, present myself as a tutor who might be of service to people around. That's it. And now I'm not emotionally motivating myself, because if I just try emotions, emotionally I'm kind of dissatisfied and disappointed with Yelp. I got so many spam calls. Oh, goodness. Some Yelp partners and some people who maybe looked up my phone number on their website, but it was a very horrible experience for me. Yeah. uh, as an entrepreneur, yeah, as a private tutor, it was terrible. So emotionally, I don't have that inspiration. But fortunately, as a reasonable human being, I choose reason. And with reason, I choose to act regardless my emotional state. And it's good. It works and it is helpful. If you rely on your emotions all the time, they are not very good leading principles. Choosing emotions as compass or as a roadmap is bad, because emotions are very fluctuating. They are not that constant. And if you have a high emotionally, then expect to have a low. This is how our emotions work. So, yeah, reason, action, analysis. My little formula would be, reason, yes, reasoning, thinking, then acting, and then analyzing. And again, the same, reason, action, analysis, reason, action, analysis. Emotions are byproducts, and you will have negative emotions when your actions don't bring you some good results, and you'll have positive emotions when your actions bring you good results. But emotions, in my perspective, are just mm, byproducts. Just as the stomach produces some juices, similarly, our mental apparatus produces some emotions. Our hormones and mental organ, let's call it that, yeah, they produce emotions, just as, the ladder produces something. Okay, let's continue with the book. I call this the do something principle. After using it myself to build my business, I began teaching it to readers who came to me perplexed by their own VCR questions. How do I apply for a job? Or how do I tell this guy I want to be his girlfriend? And the like. During the first couple years I worked for myself, entire weeks would go by without my accomplishing much. For no other reason than I was anxious and stressed about what I had to do, and it was too easy to put everything off. I quickly learned, though, that forcing myself to do something, even the most menial of tasks, quickly made the larger tasks seem much easier. If I had to redesign an entire website, I'd force myself to sit down and would say, okay, I'll just design the header right now. But after the header was done, I'd find myself moving on to other parts of the site. And before I knew it, I'd be energized and engaged in the project. The author, Tim Ferriss, relates a story he once heard about a novelist who had written over 70 novels. Someone asked the novelist how he was able to write so consistently and remain inspired and motivated. He replied, 200 crappy words per day. That's it. The idea was that if he forced himself to write 200 crappy words, more often than not, the act of writing would inspire him. And before he knew it, he'd have thousands of words down on the page. If we follow the do something principle, failure feels unimportant. When the standard of success becomes merely acting, when any result is regarded as progress and important, when inspiration is seen as a reward rather than a prerequisite, we propel ourselves ahead. We feel free to fail, and that failure moves us forward. This is a very good paragraph. I'll just read it again for you guys because it's very good for you and for me, okay, for myself. If we follow the do something principle, failure feels unimportant. When the standard, okay, the important part, when the standard of success becomes merely acting, okay, when any result is regarded as progress and important, okay, when inspiration is seen as a reward rather than a prerequisite, we propel ourselves ahead. We feel free to fail, and that failure moves us forward so beautiful. I'm going to quote this passage on my social media accounts. Okay, I'm folding yet another page on this book. This is not even my book, it's my cousin's. Yeah. The do something principle not only helps us overcome procrastination, but it's also the process by which we adopt new values. If you're in the midst of an existential shitstorm and everything feels meaningless, if all the ways you used to measure yourself have come up short and you have no idea what's next, if you know that you've been hurting yourself chasing false dreams, or if you know that there's some better metric you should be measuring yourself with, but you don't know how, the answer is the same. Do something. That something can be the smallest viable action towards something else. It can be anything. Recognize that you've been an entitled prick in all of your relationships and want to start developing more compassion for others. Do something. Start simple. Make it a goal to listen to someone's problem and give some of your time to helping that person. Just do it once. Or promise yourself that you will assume that you are the root of your problems next time you get upset. Just try on the idea and see how it feels. That's often all that's necessary to get the snowball rolling, the action needed to inspire the motivation to keep going. You can become your own source of inspiration. You can become your own source of motivation. Action is always within reach. And with simply doing something as your only metric for success, well, then even failure pushes you forward. Okay, we're done with chapter 7. Now, chapter 8. It is entitled The Importance of Saying No. Okay, yeah, I like it. In 2009, I gathered up all my possessions, sold them or put them into storage, left my apartment, and set off for Latin America. Oh, by this time, my little dating advice blog was getting some traffic. and I was actually making a modest amount of money selling PDFs and courses online. I planned on spending much of the next few years living abroad, experiencing new cultures, and taking advantage of the lower cost of living in a number of developing countries in Asia and Latin America to build my business further. It was the digital nomad dream as a 25-year-old adventure seeker, it was exactly what I wanted out of life. But as sexy and heroic as my plan sounded, not all of the values driving me to this nomadic lifestyle were healthy ones. Sure, I had some admirable values going on, a thirst to see the world, a curiosity for people and culture, some old fashioned adventure seeking. But there also existed a faint outline of shame underlying everything else. At the time, I was hardly aware of it, but if I was completely honest with myself, I knew there was a screwed up value lurking there, somewhere beneath the surface. I couldn't see it, but in quiet moments when I was completely honest with myself, I could feel it. Along with the entitlement of my early 20s, the real traumatic shit of my teenage years had left me with a nice bundle of commitment issues. I had spent the past few years overcompensating for the inadequacy and social anxiety of my teenager years, and as a result, I felt like I could meet anybody I wanted, be friends with anybody I wanted, love anybody I wanted, have sex with anybody I wanted. So, why would I ever commit to a single person, or even a single social group, a single city or country or culture? If I could experience everything equally, then I should experience them all equally, right? Socialist thinking. Armed with this grandiose sense of connectivity to the world, I bounced back and forth across countries and oceans in a game of global hopscotch that lasted over 5 years. I visited 55 countries, wow, made dozens of friends, and found myself in the arms of a number of lovers, all of whom were quickly replaced and some of whom were already forgotten by the next flight to the next country. It was a strange life, replete with fantastic, horizon breaching experiences, as well as superficial highs designed to numb my underlying pain. It seemed both so profound yet so meaningless at the same time, and still does. Some of my greatest life lessons and character defining moments came on the road during this period. But some of the biggest wastes of my time and energy came during this period as well. Now I live in New York. I have a house and furniture and an electric bill and a wife. None of it is particularly glamorous or exciting, and I like it that way. Because after all the years of excitement, the biggest lesson I took from my adventuring was this: absolute freedom by itself means nothing. Freedom grants the opportunity for greater meaning, but by itself there is nothing necessarily meaningful about it. Ultimately, the only way to achieve meaning and the sense of importance in one's life is through a rejection of alternatives, a narrowing of freedom, a choice of commitment to one place, one belief, or gulp, one person. This realization came to me slowly over the course of my years traveling. As with most excesses in life, you have to drown yourself in them to realize that they don't make you happy. Such was traveling with me. As I drowned in my 53rd, 54th, 55th country, I began to understand that while all of my experiences were exciting and great, few of them would have any lasting significance. Whereas my friends back home were settling down into marriages, buying houses, and giving their time to interesting companies or political causes, I was floundering from one high to the next. Okay, before moving on with him, I'll just share something from me as well. I often repeat this idea. I think I kind of understood it thanks to Sadhguru, who's a very interesting person, a philanthropist, a yogi, a business person, by the way. So, uh, in our universe, with whatever exists has boundaries. Okay, uh, material things. Well, that's obvious. Yes, the book has a clear cover, a clear set of pages, etc. Thoughts. When you think of something, that thought starts, it lives or expands, and then fades away. Yeah. So thoughts are like that, emotions are like that, energy. Well, from the perspective of physics, energy cannot be destroyed, but when we give our energy through our body, we feel that the body gets tired. Yes, so the energy is going away somewhere. So the way we experience it as humans, we need some fuel to get that energy. It can be food, it can be motivation, inspiration, etc. So a cup can work only as long as it has some specific boundaries. My glasses work because in order to design them, you need a clear design with specific start, process, or middle, yes, and end. Yeah, head, body, and tail, let's call it that way. So everything, if you want success, if you want to live in a comfortable house, you need to have your walls, yeah, and your ceiling. If you're like, well, I'm this super, I don't know, transcendental being, I don't need a roof, I only need four or three or two walls, that won't be a home, yeah, that won't be an apartment. That would be something else, and you wouldn't be protected from rain, snow, dust, a lot of it, yeah, pollution, uh, animals, some more mosquitoes and more insects would be visiting you, snakes and scorpions, etc. So, freedom per se, also, it is a concept. Values and concepts, just like energy and thoughts and physical things, has specific boundaries. Let's say, suppose I say I am free and I like freedom. Yes, I love freedom. I am free. But can that mean I can punch you and take your smartphone if I like it? Of course not. That wouldn't be freedom. Yes. So my freedom clearly has boundaries. It has a start, a middle, and an end. My or your or someone else's freedom is not endless. Countries, like when a country says I am free or I am independent, does it mean they can invade their neighbors and make genocides and stuff? No, that is not freedom. Yeah, that is something else. Similarly, even freedom of speech. Yes, in the US, I know people worship it. They say it should be absolute. I disagree with it, with those who say that it should be absolute. I also hate censorship. Yeah, but still, freedom of speech and, for instance, hate speech. Yeah, it's not the same. Just as me walking down the street and taking someone else's smartphone, yeah, that wouldn't be my freedom. Yeah, so freedom of speech, those things, just as everything in this universe, if we want those things to function properly and successfully, we need to give clear boundaries. The start, the process, and the end, they should be, you know, framed in some way. If you say freedom is absolute, or life as a value, yes, we value life, killing others is wrong, but If we say it has no boundaries, then okay, should the policeman not kill the terrorist who is shooting others, telling, "Oh, value is an absolute, life is an absolute value for me, so I'm not going to shoot at the criminal"? Or Ukrainians shouldn't resist the Russian invaders, telling, "Oh, life is the ultimate value. We are civilized. That's why we won't shoot the enemy"? No, of course not. So freedom, freedom of speech, everything, whatever exists in this universe, if we want it to function successfully and properly, those things and concepts need to have boundaries. The more specific those boundaries are, the better. If I just cut my finger and tell my body, no, this finger shouldn't have an end, that wouldn't work, yes? And my body would try to stop the blood, yeah, bleeding, and I would be, oh no, I am one with the universe. I shouldn't have clear boundaries. I would destroy myself, right? So, yeah, freedom also has boundaries. Freedom is not absolute. The faster you understand it, the better it will be for you. Okay? Yeah. Let's continue a little more, and that will be it for today. Rejection makes your life better. Okay. Russia. In 2011, I traveled to St. Petersburg, Russia. The food sucked. The weather sucked. Snow in May? Are you fucking kidding me? My apartment sucked. Nothing worked. Everything was overpriced. The people were rude and smelled funny. Nobody smiled and everyone drank too much. Yet I loved it. It was one of my favorite trips. There's a bluntness to Russian culture that generally rubs Westerners the wrong way. Gone are the fake niceties and verbal webs of politeness. You don't smile at strangers or pretend to like anything you don't. In Russia, if something is stupid, you say it's stupid. If someone is being an asshole, you tell him he's being an asshole. If you really like someone and are having a great time, you tell her that you like her and are having a great time. It doesn't matter if this person is your friend, a stranger, or someone you met 5 minutes ago on the street. The first week I found all of this really uncomfortable. I went on a coffee date with a Russian girl, and within 3 minutes of sitting down, she looked at me funny and told me that what I'd just said was stupid. I nearly choked on my drink. There was nothing combative about the way she said it. It was spoken as if it were some mundane fact, like the quality of the weather that day, or her shoe size. But I was still shocked. After all, in the West, such outspokenness is seen as highly offensive, especially from someone you just met. But it went on like this with everyone. Everyone came across as rude all the time, and as a result, my Western coddled mind felt attacked on all sides. Nagging insecurities began to surface in situations where they hadn't existed in years. But as the wore on, I got used to the Russian frankness, much as I did the midnight sunsets and the vodka that went down like ice water. And then I started appreciating it for what it really was: unadulterated expression, honesty in the truest sense of the word, communication with no conditions, no strings attached, no ulterior motive, no sales job, no desperate attempt to be liked. Somehow, after years of travel, it was in perhaps the most un American of places where I first experienced a particular flavor of freedom: the ability to say whatever I thought or felt without fear or repercussion. It was a strange form of liberation through accepting rejection. And as someone who had been starved of this kind of blunt expression most of his life, first by an emotionally repressed family life, then later by a meticulously constructed false display of confidence, I got drunk on it like, well, like it was the finest damn vodka I've ever had. The month I spent in St. Petersburg went by in a blur, and by the end I didn't want to leave. Okay. Well, nowadays, Russia, yeah, you cannot be like that with political concepts. Yes, you cannot criticize the Führer, of Russia. Okay, that's it for today. Subscribe to the channel if you liked it. We are, I think I read for you around 75 percent of the book, approximately. Yeah, in maybe 10 to 20 lives, I think I will finish. I will have this book finished, and then we'll take on some other book. But again, if you just listen to it, you're getting the least amount of benefits you can, you know, analyzing, drawing maybe some conclusions. Although don't be too hasty about you know drawing some conclusions. But yeah, giving it some time, processing why I'm sharing my own stories throughout the life it's also to analyze things myself and to help you understand more things, and I encourage you do the same. Okay, you can just leave comments under my lives, and when you subscribe there will be a playlist entitled uh, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, yeah, the title of the book. So you can watch the previous reading sessions from the start. Yeah, I started reading this book from the beginning and, benefit from it, enjoy, and interact with me. I like everything interactive. When you receive something, uh, you are a consumer, you consume. But when you like, when you comment, when you share, you are also giving something back. So you are producer, you are also producing instead of only consuming. Okay, and I encourage you to have the balance. Don't just consume all the time, also produce a comment, a like, something. Analyze your own life situations, bring examples, follow my lead. Because when you write, you also crystallize your own thoughts, you process your own experience, and it's very, very valuable, very useful. Okay, so that's it for today. Again, thanks for being with me. A big high five to you all, especially to people who liked my live, to those 3 individuals so far. Thank you so much. I appreciate your likes. Tiffany, again, thanks for your comment saying you love my videos. I appreciate it very much. So I'm sending you a heart, a big, nice heart your way. Okay. And see you next time, hopefully tomorrow. Have a good night. Bye bye.